just direct your attention to me. Try and ignore that camera if you can. Go ahead.
Excuse me.
Yeah. No
Hello, I'm the wife. He forgets me. Hi, Mary.
Mary
Nice
Julie,
to
nice to
meet
meet you.
you.
This is Jason.
Hello, that's our son Patrick.
Yes, we
Our
met
teacher,
outside.
and my sister Sharon over there,
Hi,
Bob's wife.
Sharon. Nice to meet
My
you.
wife.
Okay, good.
All set.
Okay, so Patrick, easy question first. Go ahead and give me your first and last name.
Patrick Smith,
Spell both for me.
Patrick Smith.
Okay. And your title.
I'm an NRA certified instructor.
So talk a little bit about your initial thoughts. I know it's been some time since the conceal and carry law went into effect, but initially, did you have any concerns before the law went into effect?
Well, I was very involved from the very beginning, lobbying for the adoption of concealed carry. It was introduced 12 consecutive years before it finally passed. And when the law did pass, it tasked the Nebraska State Patrol with formulating the training requirements for the permit. That was not part of the law. So the Nebraska State Patrol actually contacted me to help them to develop the course curriculum. That was because I was on the NRA website, and Sergeant Craig Loveless, the Special Operations Coordinator for the Nebraska State Patrol, contacted me. So I visited with him at length to help develop what the course curriculum was going to be. And initially it was going to be 16 hours of training. Very comprehensive, very good training. After we formed the basic, what the training was going to be, then they had public hearings. And in the public hearings, everybody and their dog had objections to what the training was going to be, that it was too long, it was too involved. Even the NRA sent lobbyists to lobby that the law was too restrictive and required too much training, and would be requiring more training than any other state in the country. I didn't feel that was a good argument, but the result of the public hearings was that the State Patrol, who was going to take the course curriculum, publish it, and issue it to the instructors so that it would be uniform across the state. As a result of these hearings, they trashed that idea and said instead that every instructor would produce their own course curriculum and submit it to the State Patrol for approval. What this did was it considerably slowed down the process of approving instructors, and I was the first one certified. In fact, I was certified months ahead of anybody else because I already had a course curriculum that the State Patrol liked. Some instructors, as a result, and you have to speak to each point in the law with their course curriculum, but there's no consistency whatsoever across the state. You could have a 4-hour class or a 16-hour class. It's not very good. Okay, the training, I think the requirements should be a lot stricter, and I personally would like it to be a full 16-hour course. But since all my competition is doing a one-day class, I had to shorten the time requirement in order to be competitive. So I have 1 day of lecture and then shoot the next day, because people don't want to sit for 16 hours. Every student that I have at the end of the 8-hour lectures says it should be longer. Everyone. But nobody wants to. Going in, they don't want to do that. I've been shooting for, all my life, and I'm a veteran and all this. I don't need this class. This is ridiculous. And without exception, at the end of the class, they say, I learned so much I had no idea what I didn't know, and it should be longer. We've had airline pilots, judges, soldiers, active and retired ministers. We've trained over 537 people for the Nebraska Concealed Carry Permit.
Okay. So how effective is this law now that it's in place, now that you've been teaching those classes for almost a couple years?
I have been training for 2 years. I was certified in November of 2006.
Okay.
So I have been training for 2 years. In general, it's good, but you look at the Von Maur issue, and a lot of folks in the gun community think that the state should require property owners, malls, and so on to allow people to carry their guns there. I don't agree with that. I believe that you as a property owner have an absolute right to prohibit people from bringing guns into your building, whether it's your home or your business. You have a right to tell them, I don't want your guns here. But as a consumer, you have an absolute right to take your money and your business someplace else. So I don't think that needs to be changed. There are places in law that do need to be changed. For example, public buildings, this is the government restricting it, and that's unconstitutional. Colleges, you should be able to take your gun there, because just because you're enrolled in a class doesn't mean you give up your constitutional right to protect yourself. Churches, hospitals, colleges, there's no allowance in the law to make an exception for security or members of the congregation to have concealed carry permits. So even if you want to allow your security carry concealed at your church, you can't do it. In the Colorado Springs shooting, an individual with an AR-15, an assault rifle, and over 1,000 rounds of ammunition attacked the church in Colorado Springs. A member of the congregation with a 5-shot revolver stopped him. So the argument that a woman or a pistol can't stop a guy with an assault rifle holds no water. So churches here in Nebraska, here in Omaha, we have churches that have thousands of members, and they cannot provide security in their own buildings unless they're carrying it in the open. And so you're greeting people coming into church with a gun in your hip. It's not conducive with the environment. They're not going to do it. But a few select individuals can keep that gun concealed. In the event that the worst should come to the worst, they should be able to do that. This woman saved hundreds of lives. Had she done it in Nebraska, she would have been arrested.
So you'd like to see that change?
I would like to see that changed. And I've written every senator in unicameral about this at least twice, with the exception of Ernie Chambers, because he doesn't talk to me.
Yeah, he doesn't talk to a lot of people. But when you kind of look at the grand scheme of things, I know initially when they tried to, they initially thought they might get 20,000 registered
Right.
conceal and carry permits.
Yeah.
Up to date, there's
3,000
what, 4,000?
Yeah, 3,873 active permits.
So, I mean, clearly there's not a need, or
No,
I mean,
it's-
what do
I
you
think
think
there's
it
a lot
is?
of bad information. Again, across the state, we've taken the class on the road a couple of times. We've gone up to Minden and the Sandhills. There are, along the Interstate 80 corridor, there are instructors. But if you get off Interstate 80 north or south, there aren't any certified instructors out there. So that's part of the problem, accessibility of instructors. Another issue is that there's a lot of bad information. People don't think they can take their gun here or there. I get phone calls literally every day. I've gotten calls from, I won't say every state in the union, but from multiple states. I've had people that enroll in my class from Iraq via the internet because they're going to come home on leave and they want to take the class. But there's a lot of bad information out there. The battalion chief for EMS for Omaha Fire Department called me to help him with his policy for how to deal with concealed carry. We've done specialized training for Irvington Fire Department. People don't understand the law, and so they have the idea that it's more restrictive than it is, and if they would simply call me, I can tell them.
Okay.
So.
Okay. I guess the benefit of having the concealed carry. I mean, why should you be able to?
Well, first and foremost is because you have a right to, okay? The Second Amendment's not about hunting, it's not even about crime prevention, it's about freedom, okay? And if the government has the power to take the arms away from the people, you're just one step from a dictatorship. Every fascist and communist leader, from Stalin to Pol Pot in Cambodia to Mussolini to Hitler, the first thing they did is take guns away from the people they wanted to oppress. And millions and millions of people have died as a result. So you have a right to, first and foremost. Second is concealed carry permit holders don't commit crimes. Criminals commit crimes. So to say that preventing people from carrying guns prevents crime is ridiculous. Criminals are going to ignore the sign, ignore the law, they're going to carry their guns, they're going to shoot the people they want to shoot anyway. All allowing citizens to carry guns, which they have a right to do, allows them to fight back. Levels the playing field just a little bit. And more than a little bit if they took my class.
Okay. No direct correlation. You just kind of talked about that. There's no real direct correlation if there are more concealed carry permits. If the crime rate goes up, that
It's very difficult to say that. But crime in states that pass concealed carry does go down. Violent assaults, rapes, burglaries go down. When Florida was the first state in the union that passed concealed carry, it took 5 years for the first permit holder in the state of Florida to shoot somebody. And it was a cab driver who was being robbed. And the individual that was driving him had already shot 2 other cab drivers. So for him, it certainly helped.
Anything else that you'd like to add or touch on?
The law needs to be applied uniformly across the state. You must be able, as a permit holder, as a citizen, to exercise your rights anywhere in the state of Nebraska that you choose. Omaha and Bellevue are the largest cities in the state. Omaha and Lincoln are the largest cities in the state. They've already adopted concealed carry. The smaller towns don't have the resources to fight it anyway, so we just need to pass a preemptive bill. Cities still and should be able to regulate discharge of firearms in the city limits, but possession and carry of arms they should not regulate. It should be in agreement with the state law. So the small towns need to follow state law. And finally, Nebraska needs to recognize concealed carry permits from other states. If you have a permit in Iowa, you should be able to carry in Nebraska and vice versa. Currently, the only way you can carry a concealed weapon in the state of Nebraska is you must be a resident of the state of Nebraska or a police officer. So if you have a permit from Colorado or any of these other states, and you want to go on vacation to Nebraska, you think you can't carry your gun there, it's an incentive to take your business somewhere else.
And you're talking other cities are trying to pass their own city laws that you can't.
There are cities in Nebraska, Plattsmouth just changed theirs. Plattsmouth prohibited concealed carry, they've now adopted it. I have a list, but there aren't a lot of them, but unless you have the list, you don't know. So you pull off for gas in Norfolk, Nebraska, and somebody sees your gun as you're paying at the pump, they call the police, you get arrested, and all you do is stop for gas. That's ridiculous.